They told you America was the land of the free, built on liberty, on the right to govern your own life. A nation where the government feared the people, not the other way around. But look around. Is that what you see today? This was never meant to happen. The United States was born as the most libertarian nation in history. A country where the government's power was strictly limited, where individual rights were untouchable, where the state was meant to exist only to serve the people, not rule them. In 1787, the founders, fresh from rebellion, wrote the U.S. Constitution, a radical document designed to limit government, ensuring power remained with the people. It outlined simple, clear rules. The government exists to protect rights, not grant them. For a while, it worked. America thrived, a beacon of self-reliance, free markets, and personal sovereignty. But power is never satisfied. It always wants more. The cracks started early. The Civil War made the federal government stronger than ever. The 16th Amendment introduced income tax, giving the government permanent access to your earnings. The New Deal expanded federal control into everyday life. Then came the Great Society, welfare programs, and healthcare mandates. What started as a system of freedom became a growing bureaucracy, controlling everything from property to business. Today, the U.S. legal system is over 200,000 pages long. Politicians make laws, but unelected bureaucrats control daily life. The IRS, the EPA, the Federal Reserve, none answer to voters, yet they dictate policies affecting everyone. Once, America stood for free market capitalism. Now, central planning rules the economy. The government prints trillions, inflating prices, eroding savings. More regulations, more taxes, more state control. Property rights are conditional. Business ownership comes with endless restrictions. Even speech is policed, if not by law, then by social pressure and censorship. The government has woven itself into every aspect of life. The education system, once built to foster free thinkers, now teaches compliance. Students aren't taught to challenge authority, but to follow orders. Critical thinking has been replaced with ideological conditioning. Government dependency is at an all-time high. Millions rely on the state for food, housing, and health care. The more they depend, the more control the government gains. But it wasn't always like this. The founders had warned against this exact outcome. Jefferson feared the rise of a permanent political class that would use democracy as a tool to centralize power. Madison wrote that government must remain chained by the Constitution to prevent the natural tendency of rulers to seek control. Washington cautioned against the influence of factionalism, warning that political parties would eventually consume the nation from within. Yet here we are. The government is no longer an institution that serves the people. It is a machine that feeds itself. Elections change faces, but policies remain the same. Wars are fought not for defense, but for profit. Politicians promise solutions, yet every crisis leads to one thing: more government. And the people accept it, not because they want tyranny, but because they have been conditioned to believe that freedom is dangerous, that self-reliance is reckless, that the government exists to protect them from the consequences of their own choices. The result? A nation that was born in rebellion now fears resistance. A people who once demanded freedom now beg for security. History is clear. No government willingly gives up power. The question is, does America have the courage to take it back? The Constitution still exists, buried beneath bureaucracy. Liberty hasn't disappeared. It's just been forgotten. The founders did not build a nation of passive citizens. They built a nation of revolutionaries. A nation that knew freedom was not something granted by rulers, but something seized by those with the will to fight for it. So will America wake up before it's too late? Or will the land of the free become another failed experiment, where liberty was traded for comfort, where power was centralized beyond return? The answer isn't in Washington. It isn't in elections. It isn't in promises made by politicians who serve their own interests. The answer is in the people, the ones who still believe that freedom is worth the fight, because freedom is never given. It must be fought for. In this moment of reckoning, the strength of the American spirit will determine whether the dream of freedom can be rekindled or whether it will fade into history. The choices made today will echo through time, shaping the legacy of a nation founded on principles of liberty and self-governance. The call for freedom is not merely a distant memory. It is a living, breathing movement that demands recognition and action from every citizen.